Hello and welcome back to the Vegan Runner. I've just got back from my long run, 9.5 miles, 1 hour and 20 minutes of beautiful, if a little soggy countryside lanes and moorland. I absolutely love that run. I've been using the 80-20 method for about 4 or 5 weeks now and I'm starting to see the benefits. That was one of those runs where you feel like you could go on forever. Lovely, lovely, lovely running. Right, things I wish I knew when I started running. First up, you don't need to run as fast as you can or run at maximum effort every time you head out for a run. When I started running, it wouldn't feel like a workout to me unless I had pushed myself. Can I go that little bit faster on that Strava segment? Can I run this mile a little bit quicker than I did last week? It was easy to fall into a cycle of running at least the same intensity or a little bit harder on each run because I thought that I had to show improvement. But a little secret a lot of runners come to discover is that running slower at a pace where you can still talk easily for most of your running can actually make you a stronger, faster runner than going all out for every run. It's the principle that underpins something called 80-20 training, which I'm in the early days of myself. You can follow my journey with it so far with my 80-20 playlist, and if you're interested in finding out more, Matt Fitzgerald's book 80-20 Training is well worth a read. 80-20 would be just perfect for beginner runners. You improve quickly, you don't beat yourself up on really hard workouts, and studies have shown that new runners are more likely to continue running and learn to enjoy and stick with it more than people who train at a higher intensity for a shorter period. I wish I'd known about it years ago. Another thing you should know is that you will never have enough running shoes. I love them. Road shoes, trail shoes, hybrid, carbon plated, race, recovery, long run, tempo, marathon, neutral, stability, maximalist, minimalist, high drop, low drop, Gore-Tex and Christmas shoes. The variety is endless, and for a new runner it can be quite tricky getting your head around all of the different language surrounding running shoes. If that's you at the beginning of your journey and a bit bamboozled by all the terminology to begin with, you only really need one pair of runners. The age-old bit of advice that most runners will say is to go to a decent running shop and try on a lot of different pairs until you find one that feels good under your feet. A lot of these shops will let you try the shoe on beforehand and even let you have a little jog on a treadmill. Now, depending on where you are in the world, that isn't easy right now. So the best advice I can give would be to ask your fellow runners what shoes they're enjoying for everyday training, or try out some of the leading models from the top brands. The Nike Pegasus series gets a lot of attention, as does Adidas's Ultra Boost, and a personal favourite for me right now is the Reebok Forever Float Ride Grow. A lot of shoe companies have fantastic returns policies where you can try the shoe and if you're not entirely happy you can send it back after 30 days or so. But please check the small print before you buy, but that might be the easiest option for most people right now. Okay, this one, I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this one. I didn't know how a good warm-up is worth the time and the energy. When I first started running and approached the start line of a park run on a Saturday morning, I'd always see a handful of keen beans warming up. Sometimes they'd be sprinting, sometimes they would be jogging with high knees, or they'd be lunging and swinging legs and doing all that kind of stuff. And I'd think to myself, fools! Why are they expending all of that energy unnecessarily? They're going to need it in a minute, surely. Well, I soon learnt that a good warm-up gets those muscles ready to perform at their best, and that expended energy was actually helping those runners have an even better run, as well as reducing their chances of injuring themselves. My warm-up these days consists of a short 5-minute, very slow jog, followed by a series of dynamic stretches like leg swings, lunges and squats, to gently activate those important running muscles before a workout. Make it a part of your routine in the early days, get the most out of your workouts, and reduce your injury risk. Now, this one may be a little bit controversial, but running does get easier. During my 20s, I started and stopped and restarted running a handful of times, never quite getting beyond the point where running became enjoyable. Since I've been running consistently over the last few years though, I've noticed that it does get easier. Your body will adapt and you will find yourself running distances and paces that you never thought possible. And that first run, when you feel you are running effortlessly and like you could go all day, is worth the weeks, months and years of training it might take to get to that point. It takes longer for some than others, but trust me, it will happen. Just hang in there and you'll find yourself one day after half an hour's running just absolutely beaming because it feels so easy. This one I think most new runners will find out very quickly, but I didn't realise how fantastic the running community is, how many friends and connections you'll make over the years of running, in life as well as in the virtual world. Runners like other runners. We understand one another. We know how hard it can be to lace up and get out the door sometimes. We understand how much determination it takes new runners to get that first and beautiful 5K under their belt. We know how much dedication it takes to train well and run your first marathon. We swap stories and tips and suggest shoes and gear that we found, and we're ready to put a supportive arm around those that are struggling and help them through the difficult times. Sometimes quite literally, as you can see in this footage of the brilliant human that is Matt Rees, supporting a fellow runner over the line of the London Marathon. Running brings out the best in people. Now, connecting in person is quite tricky at the moment depending on where you are in the world, but there are plenty of fantastic Facebook groups. If you're not a part of one already, check out the Vegan Runners community group as well as the Running Bible community. There's a lot of fantastic supportive people in both groups, and if you have any questions, somebody is always willing to share their experience and advice. Also, joggingbuddy.com is worth checking out. You can type your postcode into the website and make connections with other runners in your area. It's a great idea and well worth checking out, particularly if you've just moved to a new area recently and haven't yet made some running buddy friends. And that brings me nicely to the next thing that I wish I knew when I started running: just how much you'll bore non-runners with tales of your running exploits. Oh, you beat your 5K PB, did you? But what, so did you win? Yeah, running will damage your knees, you know. Oh, you ran a 6-minute mile, is that good? How was your jog the other day? Jog. What are you doing at the weekend? Running, always running. Same as last weekend, and it'll be the same next weekend and the weekend after that. I'll be running. And I'll let you know my splits, my elevation, my grade adjusted pace too, even if you don't want to hear it. If your friends or colleagues don't run, they probably won't get it, but it's not going to stop you from talking about it though, and why would you? Running is awesome. Now I think this one's really important to note for new runners. Not every run is going to feel great. Sometimes some runs can be a real struggle, mentally and physically. But it's true what they say, nobody really ever regrets a run. And it's okay to stop sometimes, just take it easy, rest and go again. And if you're lucky enough to be able to run in nature, don't forget to stop and breathe it all in. You'll see and hear some fantastic things, and you don't want to miss them just because you're worried about your overall pace. Pause the Garmin and appreciate the moment and the energy you've put into being there. Okay, now this one could be top of the list for me really, and I think for a little while, at least in my head, it held me back from joining up with others and making connections with other runners. So this one, the thing I wish I knew before I started running is that you don't have to look like a runner to be a runner. It doesn't matter what you look like, and nobody cares more about how you look than you do. When I started running, I was overweight and spent my first month of regular running on a treadmill indoors. For some reason, I didn't want anyone to see me out running. I didn't feel like a runner, and in my head I had a picture of what a runner looked like, and I definitely wasn't that. How wrong I was. Runners come in all shapes and sizes, ages and speeds. You just need to look at the start line of any race or park run to realise that it doesn't matter how you look or how fast you are or whether you've got the right gear on. Whenever I see another runner, however they look, I'm just amazed that they're out, they're being the best them, and they are smashing it. And in the end, that's all that really matters. Just be the best you. So I think this one will apply more to runners who are at the beginning of their running journey, but maybe a few months into it, a few months down the line. They've been running for a little while, but I wish I had remembered then that variety is the spice of life, that not every run has to be the same or faster than your last. Once I mustered up the courage to get off the treadmill, I stuck to the same handful of tried and tested routes, generally running at the same pace or trying to go that little bit faster and beat my last time on a Strava segment. It wasn't until I started a training plan that I realised there's more to running than just running. There's speed work, fartlek sessions, long runs, recovery runs, intervals, fast finish, hill repeats, and all kinds of different running sessions that can spice things up a bit and make life just that little bit more interesting, as well as making you a better runner. Okay, now this one I think will probably take a little bit of convincing for some of you, but I can't believe that getting up at an ungodly hour on a Saturday morning would actually be one of the highlights of my week. Parkrun is just incredible. It's such a simple and fantastic idea that has brought communities together and changed lives. For those of you that don't know, Parkrun is a weekly timed 5K run where the community gets together. It's completely free. It's just absolutely brilliant. And I can't stress this enough. Parkrun is amazing. And I'm so envious of New Zealand and Australia and all of the other countries out there at the moment that can parkrun. I love seeing all of your photos, and fingers crossed that'll be the rest of us soon. I missed the briefing before the race where we welcome new runners, applaud milestones and show appreciation for the volunteers, the weekly connection with other runners, the nervous excitement of the starting line, the exhaustion of the first mile because you went out a little bit too quick, and then that finish line sprint, the brilliant volunteers, and the obligatory post-run parkrun cake and coffee. Oh, and then of course the results email letting you know how awesome you are for finishing yet another parkrun. And best of all, it's only 9:30 on a Saturday morning. You've got the whole rest of the day to fall asleep with a smug smile on your face. I'm hopeful that we'll see parkrun return in most places across the world in 2021. And if you haven't signed up to become a parkrunner yet, I'll leave a link to the website down below. It will change your life if you let it, so sign up now. Speaking of community and coming together with other runners, I wish I knew how much motivation a good running club can bring. Being part of a club, even in these socially distant days, can bring a sense of connection and community. A lot of clubs are getting really creative at the moment in how they can hang on to that sense of togetherness. Whether it's competing in virtual races as a club, distance challenges, running streets and all that kind of stuff. And even if we can't get together and train in person right now, you can still connect and support people in your club through their social media channels. And when we can finally race once again, there's nothing quite like representing your club and running with your fellow teammates. It turns a somewhat solitary sport into that team effort. There you are, those are the things that I wish I knew when I started running. How about you? What do you wish you'd have known? Comment down below and help out a fellow new runner. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, be the best you.